Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of The Hate You Give. I was highly anticipating this film. Obviously, the subject matter is extremely timely, very poignant to today's society, unfortunately, and it looked to be something to watch out for. So admittedly, I haven't read the book, but that definitely didn't lessen my excitement any. And then when the initial reactions out of film festivals started pouring in, I was over the moon. I could not wait to see this film. And it even may have surpassed my expectations. I loved this movie. I would probably go as far to say it's one of my favorite films of 2018. So let's go ahead and talk about the many positives. This cast, top to bottom, fantastic. Mantala Stenberg is absolutely stunning in this film. She is always good. I haven't been a fan of quite a few of her projects, if I'm being honest, but I always think she has this warmth, this charm, this star quality to her in everything I've ever seen her in, and this is the best I have ever seen her. Not only does she continue to have that warmth, that charm, that star quality here, she has so many layers to her character and her portrayal. The anger, the hurt, the confusion, the sadness, everything is just there, and she portrays it so well. One of the best performances, I think, of the year. And speaking of performances that are amongst the best of the year, Russell Hornsby is absolutely fantastic as her father in this film. He is so good. What a well-rounded, full circle, fantastic performance from him. I was mesmerized every single time he was on the screen. He just captivates you. He pulls you in, just as Stenberg does in her role. He portrays anger. He portrays hurt. He portrays being scared in so many different ways. And even with this really strong character, this really abrasive at times character, you always feel that humanity underneath. You always feel that love. Regina Hall is always wonderful in whatever she stars in, and she is so good in this movie. I absolutely loved her in this movie as well. And honestly, the family dynamic between not only those three, but the two brothers as well, it's just so good. They feel like a genuine, beautiful family, and their family moments are some of the best moments in this film. They are definitely some of the more understated moments, some like moments of brevity, of just pause and getting to see this normal, beautiful family here, and it's wonderful. I really thought they nailed that family dynamic perfectly. We also have Issa Rae, who I thought was really good. Anthony Mackie is in this film. He's a little bit underutilized. He's not as well developed by any means as the other characters or given as much to do. But really, everybody turned in a solid performance. And in some cases, particularly from the two I mentioned at the beginning, just absolutely fantastic performances. And of course, the script is absolutely fantastic. This is a nuanced story that on the surface is about police brutality, but is about so much more as we continue to explore the ever-present subject of police brutality. What I think this movie does so well is portray so much more of the nuance underneath of the subject. Because the outrage is constantly there. We live in an outrage culture, and the outrage is easy to portray in films, and it's here as well. But where this film really shines for me personally is in all of the details underneath of that outer shell. You feel tension building and building and building, and you see how we get to a point of protest, how we get to a point of angry but still peaceful protests, I might add. Or, in some cases, how we get to points of non-peaceful protest. How feeling ignored, feeling like you're being murdered, feeling like you are lesser than, lesser subjects, just built up. And I think this film does it so beautifully well. This film also shows us several harrowing facts, actually. One of which is the fact that children of color and parents of color have to go over proper protocol not to get killed by a cop. And notice I say get killed by a cop because it's not about proper protocol with the cop in general. It's proper protocol so there's no excuse to get killed. This also shows us how the laws of the Black Panther Party still seem applicable in so many ways here in 2018. And that's a sad, sad state of affairs. One scene that really illustrated how nuanced the subject can be and the different points of view, and the ultimate endpoint, honestly, is a scene between Common's character and Amanda Stenberg when they're discussing the nuances of this particular situation, about combativeness with police officers, about having a slick tongue, maybe, about multiple people being in the car, about it being dark, about reaching or moving your hands. All very valid points. But Amanda Stenberg's response in that situation is beautiful. And I thought that that was the eye-opener. That was the scene that showed both sides have a point, but the underlying fact still leads to some people getting killed and others walking away with their lives for doing the exact same thing. And it was it's a harrowing scene, but a much needed scene, and I thought one of the best scenes in the entire film. I also think it head on tackles social justice systems within white communities and how there's so much wrong with how maybe well-intentioned, maybe not so well-intentioned white folks are tackling social justice issues, and ultimately how no matter how well-intentioned you are and how much you mean well, you still get to go back, and the people that you are dealing with don't. The consequence isn't there, so sticking your neck out over here is a lot easier. And that's just the fact of the matter. And the fact that a lot of people are doing it for show. Dealt with like microaggression style racism, the more subtle styles of racism. It just handled all of that racial tension so beautifully well from every front, from the legal system and police dealings to classmates to the economic system. It all just handled it beautifully. We even got into history about, let's be honest, how drugs found their way into poor black communities, because they didn't just appear there magically. It really kind of outlined the whole process, and that all came down to the title about the hate you give. I'll let the movie explain it because it does it so well, but it's a lot of really powerful stuff. It left me very emotional. There were so many scenes where I was like physically getting angry in the theater, where I was like tapping and like kind of shaking because I was mad. I couldn't believe some of the things I was seeing or hearing, and it really does it in a very balanced way. And then the end message is a pretty universal one as well. So there's so much good about this film. So much good. So where does it miss the mark? Well, I'm going to start off with maybe the ending itself. While I approve more or less of the end message that the film goes with, it felt a little bit, yay, to me. It just felt a little bit too on the nose, happy kind of storybook ending for me, where I wanted to see maybe a little bit more depth in that ending. And the only other thing I could think as a negative for this film, because honestly, it's a struggle to think of any negatives here. It's such a good movie. Is, if I'm being honest, I wouldn't have went with such a nuanced example of a police shooting. I kind of get why the film did it. It kind of kept that dialogue open and allowed for a really powerful scene later in the film. But the fact is, a lot of the real life cases we've seen over the past several years have been a lot more cut and dry than the one we saw in this movie, with the same exact result as the one we saw in this movie. If I'm being honest, if I were the one making this film, I don't think you even needed to make that boy reach into that car. I really don't. And you could have told the same story and would have had the exact same impact, and it wouldn't have allowed for as much room to marginalize the issue that was being fought for. But overall, this is a fantastic film. This screenplay is stunning. It's a beautiful looking film. The music is on point throughout. Acting is just stellar with two, like, I would say Academy Award nominee level performances from what I've seen thus far this year. And it handles so much with so much grace and so much power and passion. I would give this nothing else but a full price ticket. It is one of my favorite films to come out of 2018 thus far. So, that is my review of The Hate U Give. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below, and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on our latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see The Hate U Give? And what is your favorite Amandla Stenberg performance thus far? Let me know either in the comment section down below or hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!